What's up? What's up? How you guys doing? Reality versus, well, ideology versus reality. It's like sometimes when I'm driving, I keep having a whole bunch of like thoughts that pop into my head. It's usually the time when I do my best thinking, right? And so have you ever like sometimes you having a discussion or argument with someone, and then they're just telling you that you are wrong. You are, wrong. Whatever you're saying is wrong, right? But it's not really based on certain evidence or certain sources that you would be considered credible, which is how they are basing that conclusion upon that you are wrong. Then a lot of these questions arise. Okay, well, a source that might be credible to you or information that might be credible to you, to which you could base your ideology or your righteousness, might not be a credible source to the other person which you're arguing with, right? So then you have all these different factions of how right you are, how wrong you are, and the back and forth can go on forever, right? And there's a thing I usually say to folks that are like dead set on their ways or whatnot, and I usually tell them that, hey, whether you believe that you're right or you believe that you're wrong, only time will tell. The reason I say that because time is usually the ultimate decider of who's right and who's wrong. What I mean by this, all right. So me and one of my friends, right? We have different ideology when it comes to, say, gun control, the Second Amendment, right? Neither of us owns gun. And I do a lot of research about gun because in the future I want to own guns. So I check out some of the state laws when it comes to firearm, all that stuff, right? My friend, on the other hand, he's more of a techie type of guy, right? So then his research when it comes to gun is usually based on how you can improve it technology wise in order to prevent more accidental shooting, or you prevent other people from using your weapon to commit harm, all that, so on and so forth. So then my perspective on the matter is that why would you want to have these type of limitation on a firearm? Because, hey, let's say that I have a gun, right, that requires my fingerprint. If I'm not home but my family's in danger and they want to use my firearm but they can't, so then what good is that? They can't even protect themselves, right? And it's like those are the some example, we're going back and forth. So he talk about like to be able to solve murders better and so on and so forth. And it's like that was like one of the things that we could not agree on, because I see it as like, having those type of technology, you are limiting people's options from doing what they want. And also now those firearm can be traced and can be taken away from you whenever the government decide to be a little bit more tyrannical. So it's like all these are some of the examples, right? And those example is based on our different ideology, the different way we see the world. And he believes I'm wrong, I believe that he's wrong. So there was no compromise in this type of argument. But you want to know what really happened to that whole gun debate? It was a little something called the corona. And then that corona was followed up by civil unrest, rioting and shooting and a whole bunch of other stuff, to the point where gun sales had jumped up to 140%. And then when you look at a lot of these states, most of the gun owners, from 50% to 70%, most of them were first time home gunners. I mean, first time gun owners. So, which means that a lot of the conversation that we were having about gun control, it's necessary, it's not necessary, blah, blah, blah. I guess I would have to say I won that argument, because at the end of the day, when people safety feels like they are being threatened, they will do whatever is necessary to actually protect themselves. And a lot of them found out the hard way that a lot of the gun laws, which they have voted for or encouraged to happen, they found it very difficult, where they had to wait a long period of time just to get their firearm. They had to wait a whole bunch of difficulties. And then they realized how stupid it was for them to put in all those restrictions on people that want to purchase a firearm, that wants to be able to have the means to protect themselves. So yeah, the whole gun control debate is pretty much out the window now. It's out of the water. So now let's talk about, like, from a broader perspective. A lot of way that I used to see things in my life, right? And some, especially, like, let's say when I was in England, I used to love debating people, right? That was my thing. Like, coming through, just like, I used to live just to learn a whole bunch of crap. Whether it's from the spiritual aspect of things, the esoterics, to religion, the laws, you name it, right? Like, anything that caught my interest, I'm gonna dig into it and see how far that rabbit hole goes. Right? That was my shit. And say, for example, money, currency, the history of money and all that stuff. So, like, one of the things that I realized is, even though I had a lot of knowledge and a lot of information about some of these things, a lot of research done, but there are certain element that I was missing out into the equation, because those variables was out of my control. So, because back then I was very left leaning, because I always thought that, well, all these greedy millionaires and billionaires, they are the ones stopping people from uniting, from creating some of the things that they want to create, like, say, a commune, or whatever you may be, right? So, to me, I looked at money as in something that was evil. And as I grew older, and then I realized how unreliable people can be unless they have something to gain, either it's financially or whatever the case may be. So then, therefore, in order for you to be able to do the things that you want to do in life, you have to have the financial mean to able to fund or finance your ideology and turn the ideology into reality. So then, the way I was looking at money was totally wrong, because I was looking at that as something that was evil, instead of looking at it as a way that's just a tool to be used in order to get what you want. So I had to now readjust my ideology when it comes to money. Same thing when it comes to polygamy. I had to readjust my ideology when it comes to polygamy, because I realized that when it comes to that type of lifestyle, it's not gonna turn out the way that you think it is, because there's so many other variables that is out of your control. And you have a lot of people, when they have an ideology, and they get very angry when their ideology doesn't match the reality which they want. And it's impossible to do so, because in order for that to happen, you need, on the grander scale, you need cooperation of the people around you. Yeah, I mean, sure, you can force people to do what you want, but it's only short lived. It never have a long term effect if you have to constantly force, intimidate, or violate other people's right in order to actually accomplish your goal. So, um, let's now. How does reality and ideology? What happened when they clash? What happened? Because say that you have a vision in your head how you know, black people are civil to one another, black people, they're supposed to live together, all combine and all that stuff. A world where you don't need police, you don't need people to police your neighborhood. You good, you fine. All right. That is the dream. You believe that um a lot of bad things that's happening in the world is due to the fact that, okay, a lot of non-melanated people play a huge role in that, and create a fucked up reality which you find yourself in, and you envision a better reality. All right. And you want your people to actually see your vision and to contribute to that vision, to have a world where the neighborhoods are safe, where you can have an argument with your neighbor that doesn't result into violence or death. You want to have that, but you find yourself that doesn't match the reality doesn't match your ideology. So then what do? You can either a continue to live in a level of denial, saying that, well, the only reason why my reality is not coming true is because, yes, those people, they do share my vision. They do want to leave in piss and piss. They do want to live in peace, but yet these evil white people are making it impossible. So you can have this illusion, you can have that belief system, right? And then even though the reality can be right there in your face, that clearly shows you your vision doesn't align with the visions of those who want to hurt, steal, kill their own. So despite that, you might have an illusion of what things should be, doesn't mean that's what it will be, or doesn't mean that's what it is. So all you end up doing is you end up frustrating yourself. You end up having a lot of anger towards of something that you cannot control. Or or you can accept the fact that your ideology is impossible to actually have that in that current reality you find yourself in. So then what do? You change your environment. You change the people around you, and then you replace that with people that are like-minded, and then therefore that reality, that I mean that ideology can then become the reality you wanted, which is why you have a lot of successful black men, or those who on their way of success, move out of the ghetto, they move out of the bad neighborhood, and they find themselves surrounded with like-minded people. Some of them could be black, but some of them can also be of other races. So then therefore your ideology of living in peace have become a reality, but you first had to make some adjustment into the ideology in order to make it true. That's the difference. So it's not that your ideology cannot become a reality, but it's just that you have to be able to adapt your ideology in order for that to happen. You got to be able to invest in yourself. Think of it this way, like, why do we have the rules of laws? The rule of law is a whole bunch of people that have similar ideology, right? But few enough were able to convince the whole masses as to why these set of rules should be applicable in order for the rest of us to live in harmony. And which is why we have this constitution where all men are created equal. At a certain point in history, it wasn't the case. When we had slaves, we had people that we did not consider to be equal to us. But as we progress in life, generation after generation, and sometimes we had to fight in order to make that ideology part of our reality. So then, after so many amendments to the laws, can we not at least say that, yeah, black men and black people as well as white people as well as any other people are equal? So we may say that, no, that's not true. We have this, we have systematic racism, we have a whole bunch of stuff, but we can fix some of these problems that we're complaining about. And if we're not willing to put in the work, we're not willing to put in the investment to make the ideology that we have into a reality, then how do we expect other people to do that for us? So we can create the world that we want to live in. We definitely have that power to do so. But if you believe that you're right, then you should be exactly where you want to be in your journey. If you believe that you are right. That's why whenever I come across someone that's try to convince me that me being married is a big mistake or whatever, right? Oh, look at me. I get to mess around with prostitute all the time, anytime I want. It's like, all right, cool. So then you should be happy. Yeah, you could do that too, Art. Yo, you're wasting your time, Art. Like, if it's that great for you, then why would you even try to pressure me to join your little club? It doesn't make any sense. So it's almost as if, like, a lot of people, they are caught up in this ideology where deep down they feel insecure about it unless there's enough people that would validate their ideology. It's like, you are wrong, Art, for living your life the way you want to live it, and you're gonna be wrong until you live your life the way I want you to live it. Otherwise, I feel like I have no validation to what I call to be the pursuit of my happiness, because my happiness includes you being miserable. No, let the best man win, right? Usually, when you have like two conflict of ideology, right? Two ideology comes together and they clash. Because usually, like, I have friends that hold many different views that I don't agree with. But the reason why me and them are still friends is because I don't feel like they try to force their ideas in my head, as well as I'm not trying to force my ideas into their heads. We might have a disagreement. We might, sure, even have an argument, but not to the point where I'm gonna lose them as a friend over it. It's more like, you know what? At the end of the day, we agree to disagree. So But what tends to happen when someone is dead set on trying to enforce their ideas onto you is like they want their words to come out of your mouth. And then when that doesn't happen, a lot of time they spend a lot of energy. They spend a lot of energy, right? Trying to destroy you, trying to silence you. Because if you are now silenced, they feel like, well, I was right all along. You know, it's like, dude, that makes no sense. So you spent so much time, right, trying to destroy someone else, but you could have used that energy into building yourself. So then when you have like let's say someone try to dox you, right, because they don't like the way you say certain things, they don't like the way you're talking about their clubs, it's like they don't like it. So they try to dox you, they try to uh you know spread rumors, they try to do a whole bunch of stuff. All right. And then you just continue living your life, right? Say, for example, if someone's anti-marriage, right? So then they're now trying to see if they can destroy your marriage in order to actually prove a point, to prove that, hey, look at me, I was right all along. Right? But the argument was never about like breakup happens, marriage fails, and all that stuff, right? So I'm okay with that, right? But their whole argument is that love doesn't exist. So then, therefore, I have to destroy what you have going on just to prove that love doesn't exist. Because if I cannot have what you have, then neither should you. Even though, like, a lot of them don't have in the type of mindset to have what you have, they're not there yet. So, like I said, whether you're right or you're wrong, only time will tell. But I guess what I'm trying to say is you have every right to live in your reality. That is your God-given right to live in the reality which you create for yourself and the ideology you try to influence onto others. Yeah, go for it. But if you're not free of the consequences of the actions that you take, you're not free of the consequences of the reality which you chose to be a part of. So therefore, when it doesn't turn out the way that you want it to be, you need to stop pointing the fingers at everybody else and just look at the men in the mirror. Anyway, this is Art Banaka. So share, like, comment, and subscribe. All right. Peace.